RIMPAC 2012, the largest maritime exercise in the world. It involves 42 ships, including the aircraft carrier Nimitz, 6 submarines, 200 aircraft, and 25,000 personnel from 22 nations. It is here that the Canadian submarine Victoria must perform. The boat's crew must step up and fulfill their mission. Fire a Mark 48 torpedo, a war shot, into a target and sink it. After a difficult decade, the nation is watching.
A lot of hard work has gone into introducing this new submarine into service, right? People forget, Canada's got one of the largest coastlines in the world, and we've got millions of square miles of ocean to monitor, right? And for us to exercise jurisdiction over that water, we've got to be able to patrol on it, above it, and underneath it. And that's where submarines come in. It's a very capable platform to have. It's a good capability to have, and there's over 40 countries out there with over 400 submarines active. And those numbers are growing. Why? Because submarines are a force multiplier. Officer Captain. Clear the bridge, come below, shut a clip, con tower upper lid.
Commander Chris Ellis took command of Her Majesty's Canadian submarine Victoria in 2011. He had his work cut out for him. By the fall, his was the only one of the RCN's 4 submarines in the water. Victoria went into dry dock in 2005, but the planned 2-year maintenance program was extended several times due to unforeseen engineering challenges and the need to fabricate or source replacement equipment. Preparing the submarine for the unforgiving sea required a great deal of very careful, very methodical work. This was critical to ensure the future safe operation of the boat. But now, confidence is high that Victoria will be available for operations for 6 full years. When Ellis assumes command, there's a gap in the Navy's subsurface capabilities. It's his job to fill it. He and his crew get to work.
Over the last year, there's been a lot of high-profile milestones. The first happened in April 2011 when we actually undocked the submarine after being in the graving dock for 5.5 years. This was quickly followed by the next milestone, which was a camber dive. Now, what we do for a camber dive is we statically dive the submarine here in harbor to verify the watertight integrity of all the systems on board. We completed the camber dive with very few defects identified, and from that point forward, the pace just picked up. We've set sail in December 11, and when we set sail, first thing for us to do is to verify that the crew can safely operate the submarine at sea. So what we do there is we take in a team of experienced assessors on board, our sea training group, and what they do is they exercise a team in being able to respond to anything we might encounter at sea. For example, a fire, flood, hydraulic burst, electrical failures.
Fire, 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 fire in the WSC. Fire, 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 fire in the WSC. Stop snorting, stop snorting, stop snoring.
We're going to be exercising our damage control organization. We're going to be simulating a fire in one of the compartments on board the submarine. And what we'll see is everyone in the submarine will bring it to a heightened state of readiness, which is emergency stations. Everyone will move to their position throughout the boat. We'll quickly be dispatching 2 members of the team dressed in red vests with extinguishers. They'll proceed immediately to the scene, try to extinguish the fire using first aid firefighting appliances. And if that fails, then we'll be backing them up with a full firefighting team dressed in breathing apparatus, and they'll be making their way through the boat.
The boat's towed array is deployed and tested. This mile-long cable is packed with low-frequency acoustic sensors. Towed arrays are used by both ships and submarines to detect sound at low frequencies. Hydrophones are positioned very precisely along the cable's length. Contacts are processed and then displayed to sonar operators. They analyze the information and classify the target and possible firing solutions.
This is a submarine towed array deployment that we're conducting. In Esquimalt, They've attached a stub cable, which is a hardpoint connection between the submarine and our equipment on board this vessel, the towed array vessel. We're going to be going alongside the submarine to relatively close quarters on it, and we'll transfer the electrical connection from the submarine over to our vessel. And we'll connect our tow cables from the 10-foot container in behind you and do some electrical checks. Once those passed, then we'll be streaming the cable from this at approximately 2 to 4 knots. It takes us about 1 to 2 nautical miles to stream this whole cable out to its effective length.
Victoria sails north to the Winchelsea underwater firing range near Nanuus in British Columbia.
So I need you to stay well west.
Roger, we'll stay west of 20 meters.
We're currently at Winchelsea Island right now. This is the Range Operations Center, affectionately known as the Rock. So from this control room here, we have in front of us the Straits of Georgia, a particular section known as Whiskey Gulf.
Georgia Strait is a unique body of water. It's deep enough and wide enough that we can test all of our devices to their limits, yet at the same time we can recover devices off the bottom, we can install our instruments on the bottom. It's not so deep as the open ocean. And of course Georgia Strait is a little more sheltered than off the west coast of Vancouver Island. It's just an ideal location that's well situated for both Canadian and U.S. naval installations that need this type of service.
Yeah, I need you to continue heading east, but I'd like you to also move about 300 to 400 yards south.
Exercise area Whiskey Gulf is 3 to 5 miles wide and about 15 miles long. The seabed is instrumented with over 40 different pieces of equipment, including tracking arrays, an underwater telephone transducer, and also hydrophones for listening to noise in the water. All of those bottom-mounted instruments are connected to Winchelsea Island by underwater cables. We have all the shoreside equipment for monitoring and recording all the data and displaying in real time the position of all objects on range.
Weapons technicians embark a full load of Mark 48 Mod 4 torpedoes. The Mark 48 is a huge 533mm caliber torpedo, 19 feet long and weighing 3,500 pounds. When its 300-kilogram warhead hits a target, the effect is devastating to say the least. It is designed to destroy fast, deep-diving nuclear submarines and high-performance surface ships. These torpedoes operate with or without wire guidance and active or passive homing. They can conduct multiple attacks if, for some reason, the target evades the first strike. American, Australian, and Dutch submarines use the Mark 48.
There's been a lot of criticism about us not taking the Spearfish and the Royal Navy weapon control system when we bought these submarines back in the late 1990s. A decision was made that we would go with our own fire control and continue to use the Mark 48 torpedo. And there's various reasons why we likely made that decision. Though I wasn't part of the decision process, I can say as an end user, having come from Oberon's, we had started to gain a corporate knowledge and experience in employing the Mark 48 torpedo with the Oberon class. And so it was just a natural bridge for us to continue operating the same sort of weapon that we have historically. Also, our fire control system is very advanced, and we've been developing it as we go throughout the years. And having sailed with numerous allied navies, I can say this is a top-end fire control system, and it's designed to work with the Mark 48 torpedo. The advantage also of using the Mark 48 torpedo is you got to remember that the Americans have roughly about 60 submarines compared to the Royal Navy's 10. The American Navy also exports the Mark 48 to other countries, so there's a lot of people using the Mark 48 torpedo. So by us buying into and continuing to use the Mark 48 torpedo, we are gaining the benefits of a huge R&D cost that the Americans are doing in advancing this torpedo. and the economy of scale is obviously there as well.
The pace of the workups quickens when, in early spring 2012, the fire control system is tested.
All positions, stand by, deliberate attack, track 9-9. Bring tube 6 to the patrol stage. What we're here doing this week is we're discharging shapes and exercise weapons to prepare the submarine capability and being able to deliver on the Mark 48 weapon capability. It's a long process. It involves a couple of main pillars. The technical pillar, where we have to prove the fire control system and the torpedo tubes. And then there's the actual personnel pillar, where the training and the crew is trained on how to interact with the weapon. This is a smart weapon, and therefore once discharged, there's a lot of interaction between the operator and the weapon itself to get that weapon on target and on the correct target.
Victoria is cleared to fire tube 6, track 9-9.
Roger, Victoria is authorized to fire tube 6 at track 9-9. Left system, safe fire key to fire.
Safe fire key to fire. Ready to fire.
Roger, ready to fire. Fire tube 6.
Fire tube 6. Fire! Impulse return.
Fire tube 6.
GA 20 right.
Main motor start. Safe fire key to safe.
Held.
Weapon ready to discharge.
Pre-enable last year in active state.
The tests go without a hitch.
It felt fantastic firing not only the first class Mark 48 exercise torpedo, but to finally weapon certify the Victoria class submarine. It's been over a decade now that since we've operated weapons from a Canadian submarine. You know, an exciting time for us, but a lot of efforts have gone in to get us here.
Now, Victoria faces its greatest challenge: sail 2,300 nautical miles to Hawaii for the 2012 RIMPAC exercise. Here, Victoria will be run through its paces in an intense month-long series of tactical exercise scenarios.
It's an exciting time for us to be sailing for Rim of the Pacific exercise this summer. The Rim Pacific exercise happens every second year, always hosted in Hawaii by the United States Navy, and it is a huge, it's the largest international naval joint exercise in the Pacific. For Victoria to finally sail and be able to participate in this exercise, it's a huge milestone for us. It's an opportunity. It's going to be the largest naval exercise that these submarines have participated in since we purchased the submarines back in the late 1990s. There'll be other submarines from allied navies there, other naval combatants, for us to test our worth against, to see how tactically and technically sound the submarine is against other navies.
The boat had a full slate of taskings during the month-long exercise. But the first challenge is what everyone is waiting for, preparing for, worrying about. Put a Mark 48 into the decommissioned 9,000-ton USS Concord at the firing range off the island of Kauai.
Safe fire key to fire.
Set fire key to fire.
Lower comms mast.
1,100 yards.
Fire.
Fire! Impulse return.
Hold on to the plane.
Main motor start. Safe fire key to safe. Left hand weapon operating correctly, fuel remaining 94%.
White smoke has been fired.
Weapon now bearing 268. Put me on the line.
Weapon bears 268. No sign of turn back.
Runner enable 400 yards.
Brakes.
Exploder on. Possible wall by 2 blocks. We got it!
The weapon detonated. Clearing up sounds are now heard. Assess a hit. Carrying on with phase 1 damage checks and post-firing drills. That is all.
The SINKEX, that was a fantastic moment. You know, it's so hard to express a lot of tension on board. We knew that the whole entire submarine community, the Royal Canadian Navy, you know, the military is watching us to perform that day, and so there's a lot of tension in the control room. Submarines have missed before, so there's a lot of tension on board as we were preparing to fire the shot to make sure we got the hit. So we fired, we went deep, and then and when we first hit that, heard that bang, that detonation, we weren't too sure. Was that really it? And then all of a sudden we got all the subsequent explosions and breaking up noises of the ex-Concord, and so there was a big cheer throughout the submarine. You know, it was a great day.
First British and then Canadian engineering work on Victoria has resulted in an extremely capable, first-in-class submarine. Its battery power, shape, and anechoic tiles make it extremely hard to detect. It's been compared to trying to identify the sound of one car engine in a major city at rush hour. Even when snorkeling, its signature is almost undetectable, whether by sonar, magnetic anomaly, or other non-acoustic means. All this provides a significant operational advantage for the RCN and an important strategic asset for Canada.
And we're going to achieve that steady state before long here with one operational submarine on either coast, a third submarine ready to go, the fourth in deep maintenance. That's what we've always promised. It's taken longer than we hoped, but we're there.
It's been a long journey for the last 6 months. Taking the submarine, we wrapped up the extended docking work period, which was longer than planned. We got the submarine back to sea. We did our safety workups, our safety trials at sea, so we could safely employ the submarine at sea. We did all our first class trials, included firing the first Mark 48 exercise torpedo. You know, the commander of the RCN has also said, you know, it's been a long beginning. You know, after the last 10 years, we've gained a lot of experience in maintaining these platforms, employing these platforms at sea, and now we're at that next step. That long beginning is over. You know, we are now moving forward, ready to tactically employ these submarines.